Welcome to the show. Welcome to Your Thought Life podcast. I am your host, Michael Anderson. Today we're going to be discussing stepping outside of your comfort zone. Let's be clear, this goes far beyond motivational cliche conversation because what you have to realize is that scientists has a boatload of information and it tells us very clearly that real growth doesn't happen in comfort. It happens at the edge where the challenge meets the opportunity. So if we are to become profitable, fruitful, successful, we have got to take these challenges and move forward with them in a way that denounces the feeling of feeling stuck, overcomes those areas where we feel like we're at a plateau, but we're just a wee bit uncomfortable of doing whatever needs to be done to get over it, through it, or around it. And sometimes just undoing the set of circumstances that says, I'm afraid. I'm afraid of what may happen. I'm afraid of what might not happen. For us to get where we want to go, it's imperative that we step outside of our comfort zone. Someone's going to say, but I'm comfortable where I am, and I don't really necessarily see the need to go all out. Well, let's start with this truth so that you have a backdrop to sort of set the stage for some of the things we're going to talk through today. Our brains are wired to keep us safe. The comfort zone feels familiar. It's manageable and it's very predictable. With regard to safety, this is exactly where our brains would love for us to be in any given day so they don't have to sound the alarm, which for us is cortisol, the fight or flight hormone. When the brain detects that something we're getting ready to do is outside of familiar, manageable, or predictable, what tends to happen is it sounds the alarm. And that says risk. And what ensues immediately after that is fear, indecision, doubt, and a whole gamut of other low-level vibrations and memories coming in like a flood to stop you from doing what you need to do. Neuroscience shows that when we stay too long in these familiar states, when we refuse to overcome those feelings and emotions that come in like a flood, what tends to happen is our brains actively become more automatic and less creative. Imagine attempting to do something brand new without the faculty of creativity. It's a really ugly setup, one that we don't even want to think through. Probably that's another podcast episode, to be candid. But meanwhile, when we're stepping into discomfort, into those activities, what's happening in the brain is it's saying, hey, this is net new. Get prepared to make brand new neurological pathways. Get ready to start sparking some neuroplasticity so we can change the shape of this brain, and get ready to take on this idea of resilience, our ability to bounce back in the wake of these new challenges. It's the latter of these that really sets us up beautifully to overcome the familiar, the manageable, and the predictable, that flood of emotions, feelings, and memories that come in to stop us in our tracks, to keep us safe. When we take on the challenge that takes us outside of our comfort zone and reinforce the conversation on the inside with a little bit of reframing that says, I know this is scary for you. I know you want to protect me, but I don't need you to protect me. And even if you stay in an elevated state, I'm going to move through this set of sequences with everything that you guys are throwing at me to show you that business, I'm in control. We all are going to do this. And what you'll find is that those things will begin to settle down as they see you moving forward. This is why it's so important to challenge the comfort zone. And every one of those feelings and every one of those memories that comes back to create pause. I just want to drive home a concept that says this: comfort comes at a cost because it breeds complacency. You ever wanted to really understand why a person looks the exact same way from an achievements standpoint at the end of the year as they looked at the beginning of the year? You will be able to clearly see that comprised in this statement. Comfort has a cost. It breeds complacency. When you are complacent, you are not growing. And that is a problem, especially if you are endeavoring to enter into an entrepreneurial endeavor, if you desire to increase the position with which you have in your corporate career, anything that requires you to advance and go beyond the skills that you currently have or gifts and talents, you're going to have to know that if you say no, there's a huge cost. Let's marry it with a little bit of research. The Harvard Business Review study on this topic found that individuals who routinely seek discomfort outperform peers in a problem-solving, creativity, and adaptability test case. They're more likely to spot opportunities and respond effectively to change. Bottom line up front, family, staying comfortable might feel safe, but it's often the riskiest move that you ever make. Why? Because you're keeping the status quo status quo. It's a decision that many of us make, unfortunately, subconsciously. And for us to break free and begin to do things that are a little outside of our comfort zone causes us to have to take a little bit of risk. Let me tell you how to do that safely. Start small and stack wins. Behavioral science shows that small, manageable challenges maintain momentum. When you have momentum, you have an undercurrent of energy propelling you forward to do whatever it is you need to do that's a little outside of your comfort zone. We're starting small. We're not trying to carve up the entire elephant. We're just taking small pieces a little bit at a time. And as we move through this process of getting comfortable a little bit at a time, this momentum allows us then to lean in to this concept and find for ourselves that it's not as bad as we thought. It's not nearly as bad as our brain formed it to be. That said, we don't need to overhaul our lives. All we need to do is start with one small task each week. And maybe that's just speaking up for yourself. Maybe that's raising your hand in a meeting. Maybe it's you just simply saying that no matter what, I am going to do this or that, something you've been procrastinating on. Perhaps it's just something that you have on the inside where you just say, from this date to this date, I'm going to begin doing this thing in a pattern of habit stacking where you've got something that's working. You're going to add one thing to it at the top or at the bottom that makes you a little uncomfortable, but starts this process. This is what a lot of folks are doing to jumpstart being comfortable outside of the comfort zone. Next, we want to begin taking a closer look at these fears. According to Dr. Kelly McGonigal at Stanford, how you interpret stress determines its impact. When you feel fear, just simply tell yourself, this is energy, not danger. This is a protective mechanism, not necessarily a truth. Start looking for the facts. Start looking very interested within to see what is it about this specifically that is making me uncomfortable, and begin to speak the opposite. This is a very simple step that is incredibly impactful that you can use to sharpen your focus and drive your action. We learned in the first step that we've got some momentum. This is a momentum multiplier. And then what I like to always tell people that I work with is you have to have an accountability environment. Growth accelerates in community and accountability. So you've got to be sharing your goals with me, your coach, with your mastermind, with whomever you have in your life that will hold you accountable no matter what. They won't absorb any excuses and will hold your feet to the proverbial fire. It's important because research is demonstrative in this particular area. American Society of Training and Development found that having an accountability partner increases success by up to 95%. The vast majority of the work that we do after we have identified the core issue and the execution that is necessary to overcome that inside of 4 or 5 weeks is the accountability piece. People know what to do 8 out of 10 times. They know what's jacked up and what needs to be fixed. Where we really play a huge role is helping them to understand this is something we must do. You will be held accountable for it in a loving way. And we're going to help you navigate through this season of your life so that you get the outcome that you deserve. The last thing is the celebration. Too often when we do something like this, because it's not a big to do per se, it doesn't get the same level of appreciation with our being as, let's say, if we won a baseball game, we won a pickleball game, or we were at the top of some sort of tournament and got first or second place. The culture that we're in deems those things, those types of wins, to be much more significant. But when you're doing something like moving outside of your comfort zone and you have an active strategy to enhance, to improve, to strengthen your self-development, and you're doing that through practices like this, when you have a win, it deserves the same level of appreciation as some of those external events that I made mention of earlier. You should be applauding yourself. You should be your chief cheerleader. And every time you step out, you should celebrate that effort. And don't just see it as a result. This is something really large that you've done for you to advance your level. This is something that you have done for you so that you show up differently in the world. Stepping outside of your comfort zone is a big deal. So when you celebrate these, what you'll find is you're going to get a dopamine reward. That feeling, that overwhelming feeling of, this was good. This makes me feel good. I feel good. I am appreciative of this. Same way you would feel after you've done a good workout. You probably dislike the workout, but the feeling you have immediately after is phenomenal, cannot be replaced. That's exactly what we want to do when we step outside of our comfort zone. We want to stretch those limits and then celebrate each win. And even if it's not a full-blown win, we still want to celebrate that we took a step. We took a step of faith. We did something that the brain thought was risky. We got an outcome. And even if it's not the outcome, that's fine, because at the end of the day, all we need to do is tweak the recipe and go back in again. And what we'll find is, so long as we don't see failure as final, This process is going to work like an absolute dream over time as we spend more time in it, perfecting our approach and getting the outcomes that we desire. If you desire to grow, you have to step outside of your comfort zone, family. Growth does not begin when you feel ready. You'll never feel ready. It begins when you act despite discomfort. The comfort zone may feel safe. The life and the leadership and the career outcomes that you want are just beyond it. You have to take that step of faith. Take one step today, just one, that makes you a little nervous and perhaps excited as a result of you getting this fresh content. And then stack those wins, reframe that fear, and celebrate each time you step out on faith and you get an outcome. I need you to start today so that the transformation begins today. Thank you so much for joining us today. Feel free to connect with us via Linktree. The link is available in the show notes. I want to remind you that you are enough. You can do it. You are uniquely equipped to realize your goals. Until next time, take care and keep stepping outside of your comfort zone.